Almost every weekend somewhere in Australia, there's an event involving motorsport. From Porsche to super sedans, open wheelers to classics. Teams, mates, couples and families are getting out there and burning rubber, burring knuckles and hopefully not burning a huge hole in their back pocket.
Teams and drivers that take part in race days like this at Sandown in Victoria don't have the budgets which the V8 supercar teams do, that's for sure. But there is one thing they do have, and that's the competitive spirit.
Yeah, good. We got out there and we just sort of minded our own business and made sure we got in the right spot at the right time, and we ended up on pole. So we knew we'd sort of be around the mark from yesterday's times, but it's nice to go out there and do the time in qualifying. It's something I haven't done before.
Yeah, it's a great weekend. Relatively inexpensive, especially if you're in your home state. We have a good amount of track time, not over excessive. It's great fun to run, and we have a lot of fun.
I race in the MG class, and in that class, MG grid only. In the MG grid, there's 3 classes: fast road, historic, and open. This is the historic class. I've just started middle of last year, and starting to punt it around reasonably well, I hope.
I'm here with the Stillwell E30 team, and they've invited us to take part in this round of the BMW Drivers' Cup. Now, it's been a while since I've been on a circuit, so there's a fair bit of trepidation around. Mainly from other people, not so much myself, can't understand that. But I caught up with Michael Stillwell at Calder Park to find out exactly how we can get these little babies around the circuit quickly.
Really, really neutral, very predictable. Reasonably quick, terrific brakes, and we're using essentially the standard brake package, just with an improved brake pad. But here at Calder, you're doing an excess of 200 k's in the end of the straight, and just jump on the thing with only 100 or 90 metres left to go, and it pulls up beautifully.
The Stillwell family has long been associated with Australian motorsport, and it was about 5 years ago when Michael helped put together the BMW Drivers' Cup Series.
A group of 6 BMW competitors were getting together after a car rally and talking about, gee, we've got great little cars, how can we go circuit racing with them? So built a formula based around the E30, the 3 Series in the mid-1980s, based on the 325 with the 2.5 litre motor. So that was the genesis of it. Built a set of rules essentially to make a control formula to keep it very competitive. So the 2.5 litre 325i engine, which was also in the 5 Series, the 525i in the late 1980s, standard clutch, standard gearbox, standard rear suspension. What we are allowed to do to the car is put a set of extractors on it, a little bit of engine work, but pretty limited, and an engine management trip, which really enables us to get a little bit of extra performance out of the motor.
Compared to other motorsports, this is a fairly inexpensive way of getting out on the track. Michael's brothers Nick and Christopher, as well as his son David, also compete in the series.
If you build a car yourself, you're going to spend somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 to get the thing competitively prepared, ready on the track. Your main expenses are brake pads. We wear out brake discs probably once or twice a year. The cars otherwise are pretty bulletproof. I think our biggest problem is panel damage, because we keep bumping into each other. But fortunately, the panels are pretty readily available, so that helps. We're trying to keep everyone even-tempered, but I think the red mist does descend, and people tend to compete for sheep stations. It gets pretty competitive.
Equal-powered cars, it's interesting, because there's not much in it, and that's what makes it really good from a driver's point of view, because it really all gets back to the driver's skills. It's probably a fair indication while I'm at the back at the moment.
With sheep stations and a lot of pride up for grabs, it's important to make sure teams start on equal terms. Yokohama have developed a road and race-controlled tyre, the AO48. From its Advan range, that can handle the rigours of competition and, more importantly, keep the costs down. Andrew McCarthy from Yokohama.
This tyre is essentially a race tyre in disguise. The tyre meets all the criteria to be street legal, including load capacity, speed rating, tread design, yet obviously used for a category like this and many other categories in the country to offer the sort of performance you need in a race tyre. Okay, this particular tyre is Yokohama's Advan AO48. Comes from a long pedigree of tyres that started over 25 years ago with the A001R. Once again, the R-meaning R specification for race tyre. The tyre, if you look at it, has got very large tread blocks, particularly on the outside shoulder. When you're turning into a corner, this is the tyre which suffers the most distortion. This is where you need the most stability. So as one of the many benefits of the tyre to improve that mid-corner grip, you get it by having such a large block here.
Stab the brakes as we go through here. Takes a bit of speed off. Around the corner, you can feel the tyres gripping, which is just so important.
This gives much more stability and therefore offers much higher levels of grip than a normal road tyre would. You couple that with a compound to actually enhance the tyre's performance, yet still having a tread design that will pump the water out the back of the tyre. It is the beauty of this type of tyre. You've got to remember when you've got a control tyre for a category like this, or whether you're going to Targa Tasmania, you want a tyre that can operate both in wet and dry conditions, gives you consistency and gives you durability. It's important that when you get to the second or third race meeting, you're still being offered the same level of grip, which this tyre is one of the best at doing that. It's actually the control tyre in over 10 categories Australia-wide, with its nearest tyre competitor only having 2.
The great thing about the Yokohamas, they give terrific wear, very predictable. They come up to heat reasonably quickly. You need a bit of heat in them for the grip. But I think mainly the predictability, both in the wet and the dry. The car, they don't break away, so the car's nice and predictable with what it does.
With more and more teams, families, friends and rivals getting out on the weekends enjoying motorsport, Yokohama's development of the Advan AO48 has helped keep the cost down, as well as giving you the confidence to get out there and have a real go at it in all types of conditions.
I got to tell you, that was a stack of fun. It was fantastic. And certainly if you want to get into a cheap form of motor racing, and one which is really competitive and puts a lot of reliance back onto the driver, the E30 BMW Drivers' Cup is a great way to go. Now, I've got to go and crawl to them a little bit more to see if I can borrow the car again tomorrow. I mean to say, there isn't a dent on it, so that's got to be a positive.